Kagurabachi. I like this chapter. I like this execution, and I like this idea. There's a lot of things going well for Hokuzono currently. There might be a couple of moments where you think he trips or stumbles over himself. He always brings it back home, and in a very impressive way. Let's get the elephant out of the room. Iori. She has now fully awakened as Samura's daughter. So everything that was repressed, everything that was erased, everything that was forgotten physically, emotionally, mentally has now returned. And with that return has come the Iado sword style. You can tell that she is using this by not only her speed, but the hand placement on her sword. Where does this come from, you might ask? Is this genetics? Has she inherited this by Samura? No, this is not genetics, and she has not inherited it. This is something taught, something she is clearly trained within. Now, we don't know if she's trained by her father or by an external school, but for logical reasons, it would make more sense for her father to train her. And a very small example that might be proof for that, perhaps, is the fact that she's drawing her sword with her eyes closed. This might not seem like a big deal, but within any sort of martial arts, any sort of swordsmanship, closing your eyes is the worst thing that you can do. A lot of martial arts will specifically train you into keeping your eyes open within the worst scenario possible. Getting hit, getting stabbed, defending, blocking, attacking, you need your eyes open at the most crucial parts. The fact that her eyes are closed makes me believe that her father, Samura, taught her this style the way he knew best. Samura does not use his eyes, instead he relies on his other senses. While Iori also has a choice of using her eyes, mastering your other senses, and being able to draw the Iado style completely with your eyes closed is incredibly impressive and shows the level of discipline that she most likely has, that she is very far within her swordsmanship journey. Is she a master? Potentially, but we don't really know for sure. It's probably safer to say that she is deeper within her sword training ship compared to being flat out complete with it. Now, this seems pretty normal, but you might be wondering, how long has she been training for? It seems a little unbelievable that she could pick up a sword style so quickly. That's also not necessarily true. Iori has only been missing for the last 2 years. Not 8 years ago, not 12 years ago, not when she was a little child, only 2 years ago. There was an article that the Kagurabachi members brought up with her disappearance, or her death, I should say, which only happened 2 odd years ago, that she suffered from acute heart disease, which would lead nicely into the seal taking place. If we say that she is 17, 18 years old, close to Chihiro as she puts it, the 2 years prior she would be around 14, 15. How long do you think it takes for someone to master the Iado style? 2 years? 8 years? 12 years? Truth be told, there's actually no time at all. There's no classifications, there's no length of time you need to train with the sword style. It's a matter of training. It's a matter of discipline. It's a matter of your tutor. Depending on the person that is training you, how proficient they are, the length at which you could master a sword style or even have a great fundamental understanding of it is heavy leaning onto them. So for example, at the earliest, Iori could have been training in swordsmanship from 8 years old. This is a standard, relatively young age for children to take up sword styles. Obviously, they are heavily tutored and heavily structured so they don't injure themselves, and it is entirely dependent on the child and how much they want to continue training in the sword and the discipline and the understanding. There's a lot that goes into, a young child learning some sort of martial art form. Safe to say that young children, sometimes even younger than 8, accompanied by an adult, can actually be trained in these certain sword styles. It's very impressive. So for argument's sake, let's say that Iori has been training in the sword style since she was 8 years old. That would give her anywhere between 6 to 8 years of dedicated training before she got quote-unquote erased. And with her teacher, perhaps being her father, her type of swordsmanship would be a little bit different to the quote-unquote standard Iado style. Because Samura is blind and relying on his other senses, him teaching someone visually is incredibly difficult. So it would have to go through his type of senses and his type of experience. And the way that any tutor would explain how to to do something is through their own personal understanding of it. Hence, the final panel you get with Iori wielding the Ayato style with her eyes closed, something that you wouldn't naturally do. On the contrary, Chihiro does not do it. He is someone that has his eyes very wide open so he can perceive any sort of inflictions or wrong steps he could take drawing the sword. This is all to say that Iori is incredibly well trained and very, very confident in her style. I still think the execution for this is very well done. It makes sense. It has a logical, roundabout nature to it. Thematically, it's really playful with what Samura represents, now with what Iori is representing, with how she now also contrasts with someone like Chihiro. But also, if she is someone that is incredibly proficient in the Ayato style, what better way for someone like Chihiro to also learn more while he's kind of crafting and perfecting his own version of the Ayato style? What could be directly in front of him with Iori is something more akin to Samura's Ayato style. I also want to emphasize that she is incredibly fast. There was a lot of people between her and Akura who she goes to protect. In mere fractions, she's able to grab a sword, draw it, and run around a bunch of other people to get in front of Akura. Perspectively, it's difficult to tell that range, but she did have to outpace people that were already charging to attack him. She is very quick. I really like the lead up to this moment. It feels really climatic, really special in a way, and it makes me curious on how far Hokuzono wants to take or draw out this type of idea. Another proficient swordsman coming into the mix I think is incredibly valuable for Chihiro and his group. I just hope she doesn't get sidelined in the future. This could be a not replacement character for Hakuri, all while he heals. The more surprising thing for this lead up is actually Akura, one of Iori's classmates. This is the same guy that has a fascination with Chihiro, someone he kind of worships as like a superhero. You get a nice chunk of characterization for him to make his position in this scenario relatable. It makes sense why he's here, why he's putting himself through this, why he wants to bring Iori home. His dedication is really lovely, and seeing Chihiro answer that with bestowing him the key to Iori's, I guess, home is a really beautiful thing thematically. He's the one entrusted with the key, going up to the roof, trying to save Iori when everyone is flustered and all over the place. Not to mention Kaguri has arrived as well. He's on the rooftop. He's being a problem. If he is any sort of a competent fighter like we're led to believe, him versus Iori and the Masumi ninjas might be a very fascinating battle. It's hard to believe that after all of this, and unfortunately the work that Ikura has done to try and bring Iori home, I don't think she's going to go back. The seal has been fully broken, and while one is basically prepped, it seems unlikely after this reveal that she will go back. The reality of it is we also don't know how much mentally or emotionally she will change. Her full identity, mentally, emotionally, and now physically, is back to where it was before the seal. With the newfound information that she has, what type of person was she truly? I don't expect her personality to flip on a dime, but I do expect her to be more confident in her seeking, in her judgment, and perhaps that will be reflected within her swordsmanship. Someone that is a protector and a reflection of what Samura used to be. I also find it fascinating that so many people have been moved to fight the Masumi ninjas. Pretty much everyone within this hotel is up on the roof. And it makes you ask the question, why? They seem kind of brainwashed in a way, but none of them are wielding the Dantenseki stone. With the observation of the Masumi ninjas talking about brainwashing, I wonder if someone like Toto's ability could do that. Being able to mass brainwash a lot of people and control basically what they do and how they think. At the moment, that is pure speculation. We know nothing of Toto's abilities or what her capabilities are, but it would be fascinating if the reason everyone is up on this roof, including Kaguri, coordinated together is because of Toto's sorcery. Hokuzono has a great plate to work upon. A lot of things that he can cut off and dive back into, but really he's bringing things full circle. I like his judgment, I like where he's going with these ideas, and I like his execution. Really, it's just cleaning up the landing and figuring out what we do with potentially new characters. I for one do not want Iori sitting in the backburn, but because she is so vital, so important to this narrative, it only makes more sense to keep her out of harm's way and not within the prying eye. I have faith in Hokuzono, and I'm excited to see what answers he comes up with.